Welcome to the deep dive. We take the sources you're curious about and really pull out the knowledge you actually need.
Exactly.
Today we're diving into, well, a pretty massive conversation over 7 hours actually with Serge Gatari.
Yeah, it was extensive.
Think of this as your shortcut, your way to get the real-world strategies for building, a successful AI-integrated business or service right now.
That's the plan.
Hmm.
You shared this discussion, and our mission today is pretty straightforward. Distill the most critical, actionable insights, things you can actually use to navigate this, well, booming AI landscape.
And what's really interesting, I think, is the sort of tightrope walk that AI businesses are on.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much buzz,
Right.
right? So much potential. But then there's this very real need for, practical, no-nonsense advice
Absolutely. How do you cut through the hype?
and build something that lasts, something that won't just be another, flash in the pan.
Yeah.
We're really focusing today on how to avoid that trap, the commoditization trap,
Mm-hmm.
and how to build a business with real lasting value.
Okay, let's jump in then.
Let's do it.
So the first big point Gatari makes, and it's fundamental, is that just saying we do AI or selling AI, it's just not enough anymore.
Right. Businesses are cautious.
They are, and rightly so. They've, heard a lot of promises, maybe even burned before.
Seen things that didn't quite deliver.
Exactly. So the key takeaway here is that the delivery of your AI solution is, well, paramount. It's not just the tech itself.
It's how you get it into their hands, make it work for them, show them the value.
Precisely. It's not enough to say, hey, we've got this AI that does X. You need that clear plan. How are you implementing it? How are you training their team? How are you actually demonstrating the results?
It's about building trust, isn't it? Showing how this thing actually streamlines what they do, boosts their bottom line.
Yeah, think of it like this. You're not just selling, say, an AI-powered CRM tool.
Okay,
You're selling the whole process, the transformation of their sales team's efficiency using that tool.
got it. And what about Gatari's model for that? He mentioned something specific.
Yeah, what's interesting is his focus on this done-for-you approach, but, and this is key, coupled with upskilling the client.
Ah, so you set it up, but you also teach them.
Exactly. It's not just implementation and walking away. It's about empowering them, making sure they understand it, they can manage it long-term, so they see that continuous value even after you're less involved directly.
That makes sense. It tackles that skepticism, that fear of just getting a short-term fix.
Right. They want lasting impact.
And this really hits home for you, the listener, right? You want knowledge quickly, but you also want it to be thorough, practical.
You need the how, not just the what.
Exactly. Gatari points out businesses are, understandably, hesitant to shell out big bucks up front without proof.
Mm-hmm. Show me it works first.
Yeah. But his point is, if you have that strong delivery model, the training, the support, it justifies a bigger investment because you're offering the complete solution, not just a piece of code.
Okay, so building on that idea, demonstrating value through delivery, there's another huge piece Gatari talks about, avoiding becoming a commodity.
Ah, yes, the commoditization trap. How do you stop your amazing AI offering from just being another easily swapped out tool?
It's a real risk. He uses a great analogy, OpenAI. Incredible power, vast knowledge for like $20 a month.
Yeah, it's basically a utility now.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the core AI becomes that accessible, how do you stop your specific tools, maybe an AI dialer, a content agent, from going the same way? The barrier to making those tools is dropping fast.
So what's the defense?
The key, he argues, is bridging knowledge gaps.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means businesses often lack the internal know-how to really use these AI tools effectively, even the powerful ones. Your value isn't just the tool, it's understanding their industry, their workflows, and how to strategically apply that AI to get their desired results.
So the value is in the expertise, the strategy, the implementation,
Exactly. It's the specialized knowledge you bring, not just the AI itself.
which leads right into his idea of selling an entire playbook, doesn't it?
It does. You're not just selling the AI marketing tool. You're providing the whole strategy, the team training, the ongoing optimization, the full system, showing them exactly how to use that AI to get results they can measure.
It's a much bigger, more holistic offering.
And crucially, much harder for someone else to just copy.
And for you listening, if you sometimes feel overwhelmed by all the AI options, this playbook idea gives you structure. It turns this complex thing into something manageable with clear steps.
Yeah, it provides that clarity.
Okay, so we need a comprehensive offering, a strong delivery. Now, how did Gatari suggest actually selling this value? What's the sales approach?
Well, his primary focus is heavily on direct response. shortening that sales cycle.
Get people interested and into a conversation quickly.
Pretty much. But what's interesting is how they handle nurturing. It's less about long, upfront educational email sequences.
Oh.
They focus more on creating really valuable assets, videos, guides, whatever, that educate potential clients after they've already shown some interest, like after they opt in for a webinar or download something.
So capture interest first, then educate the warm leads.
Right. He frames it around the business's big picture, making more money, cutting costs, being more
Our
efficient.
core goals.
Exactly. Their strategy uses a series of these assets to hit those points, showing how AI, with their guidance, is the best way forward. It convinces them it's the logical next step.
So the nurturing isn't just generic info dumps.
No, definitely not. It's carefully designed, builds trust, shows expertise, highlights tangible benefits. The goal is to make the prospect feel like, wow, I'd be crazy not to explore this AI opportunity with these guys.
And for you, the listener who likes structure and values your time, this maps out a really strategic flow, getting the right info at the right time.
Exactly. Efficient and impactful.
Okay, let's shift to something potentially tricky. Guarantees in sales. The we'll get you X clients or we work for free type of thing. Gatari had strong opinions here.
He did. Very firm. He basically said he'd rather go broke than build his core strategy around those kinds of guarantees.
Wow. So what's their approach instead?
Their focus, especially in their sort of faceless content, is more on showcasing the transformation, the potential for big results, but they avoid making those explicit guaranteed outcome promises in the initial outreach.
So hint at the results, don't promise them up front.
Pretty much. He draws a really clear line between that first touch point in ad, a piece of content, and the actual sales calls that happen later.
Right. The ad's job isn't to close the deal.
No, its job is to pique interest, maybe educate a little, and get them to take the next step. Click the link, book a call, whatever. The deeper selling, the qualification, that happens later.
Okay, but is there any room for outcome talk?
He did acknowledge a bit of nuance there. Like, if mentioning a potential outcome is what you need to get people onto that initial call, maybe it's acceptable.
As long as it's not misleading.
Right. And as long as it's not the absolute foundation of your whole offer, the key is their value proposition is built on their expertise, the process, the potential transformation, not just a risky guarantee.
That's actually a really useful distinction. A different way to think about using promises in sales without betting the farm on them.
Yeah, it's a balanced view.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Gatari shared a framework he learned about the 3 stages of business. How does that apply here?
Yeah, this is super relevant for anyone in the AI space. Stage 1, solve a problem in a new or significantly better way.
Find that unique value proposition.
Exactly. Stage 2, optimize your fulfillment, your operations, so you can actually scale up efficiently.
Handle the growth.
Right. And stage 3, master your marketing and sales to consistently reach the right customers.
And his main point with this?
The absolute fundamental importance of stage 1 first. Build something great. Don't try to mask a weak product or service with flashy marketing, especially early on.
Get the core value right before you shout about it.
Precisely. He used examples like Instagram and WhatsApp products so good they blew up mostly organically at first.
That's a powerful reminder. Build something people genuinely want and need.
It's the bedrock. This framework gives you, the listener, a high-level map for developing your AI business.
Okay, staying on growth, scaling. Gatari made a really critical distinction between getting to your first, say, $100 K and then scaling up to $1 million or more.
Yes, this is a point where a lot of businesses stumble. The tactics that get you started often won't get you to the next level.
Like what kind of tactics?
He specifically warned against getting bogged down too early in complex, low-ticket funnels or building out a massive team before you've even really proven your core offer worked and resonates.
Don't overcomplicate things too soon.
Exactly. Instead, he advocates for a leaner, faster approach he calls the VSSL process.
VSSL.
Video sales letter ads, solid appointment setting, a clear sales process, and good sales assets to back it up.
So more direct, more focused.
Yeah, it lets you validate your offer quicker and get to revenue faster.
He had an example, right?
He did. A client who hit $50 in revenue in just 28 days using this VSSL approach. And that early win gave them the cash and the confidence to then reinvest strategically, aiming for $250K a month. It shows how you can build momentum.
That's a great practical example. Okay, another piece of advice was about focus, specifically avoiding diversifying too early.
Right. He told a story about someone juggling real estate, e-commerce, and wanting to start an AI automation agency.
Spreading themselves thin.
Very thin. Gatari's advice was blunt. Pick one of your existing businesses and use your AI solution to solve a problem there first. Prove it internally.
Eat your own dog food, basically. Use it yourself.
Exactly. It gives you a testing ground, a clear first use case. He basically said, if you chase 3 businesses, you get nothing. Focus is power.
That really speaks to anyone feeling overwhelmed. Just pick one thing and make it work.
It simplifies things massively, and it builds that solid foundation.
He also gave a really specific example of focus, didn't he? Something about mortgage brokers.
Yes, offering appointment setting and VAs may be AI enhanced specifically to mortgage brokers for a fixed monthly fee.
Okay, why is that powerful?
Because it's specific, it's repeatable, and the fulfillment costs are relatively low and predictable. You define a niche, offer a needed service, and you can scale it efficiently.
You could just keep adding clients doing the same thing.
Right. He called it cash stacking. Find that specific, repeatable service for a defined niche, and you can build a very profitable, scalable business.
It's a clear model for productizing a service, potentially with AI making it even more efficient.
Definitely.
Okay, now a big question in AI, build versus buy. Should you create your own proprietary AI tools?
Gatari's advice here was pretty strong. Be very cautious about going into a building frenzy.
Why is that?
Well, the development costs are huge, right? And the chances are someone with way more funding and AI expertise is probably building something similar or even better.
So don't try to reinvent the wheel with the core AI.
Generally, no. His recommendation is to leverage the amazing AI tech that already exists and focus your energy on the go-to-market strategy. Deeply understand your niche. Craft that unique value proposition that goes beyond just the tech.
So focus on the application and the business side, not necessarily becoming a core AI developer.
For most businesses getting started, yes, that's the smarter play. It's about solving the client's problem effectively.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk retention. Keeping clients happy, especially if you're selling information like coaching or consulting. That can be tough.
It really can. Gatari pointed out why those subscription communities based only on information often struggle.
Why?
Because information itself is becoming so commoditized, so easily available, people aren't going to keep paying month after month for access to stuff they feel they've already learned or can find elsewhere.
So what's the solution for info-based businesses?
He basically said you have 2 main paths. Either charge a significant one-time fee up front that reflects the true long-term transformation value you provide.
Oh, high ticket.
Right. Or you need to be constantly developing new products and services that solve the next problem for your existing clients. Keep giving them reasons to stay and buy more.
So don't just rely on the initial info product. Build services around it.
Exactly. Like his example, if you teach e-commerce, maybe offer a product sourcing service or help with logistics. Something tangible that provides ongoing value and justifies recurring billing. You're actively helping them do the thing.
That's a key insight for anyone thinking about models like coaching or courses in the AI space.
Yeah.
Think beyond just the lessons.
You have to create ongoing, tangible value.
A theme that keeps coming up is solving a very specific problem and making things faster for the client.
Yes, collapsing time. That's a huge one. Valuable AI solutions help people get what they want faster with less hassle.
He had an example, right? College students.
Yeah, like helping students use AI to finish their degrees more efficiently. Anything that dramatically speeds up achieving a desired outcome.
And that collapsing time becomes the core value proposition.
Absolutely. If you can show someone, hey, I can help you reach this big goal in half the time, that's incredibly valuable.
And that justifies charging more.
Right. You're charging a percentage of the value you create by getting them there faster.
It really clarifies what makes an AI solution truly valuable. It's not just automation, it's acceleration.
Well put.
Okay, shifting back to sales interactions. What about dealing with skeptical prospects, people who come in with their own ideas about AI?
Gatari stressed the importance of being able to, as he put it, shift the beliefs of prospects.
Meaning?
Meaning you can't let them dictate the conversation based on their potentially limited or skeptical view. You need the communication skills, the marketing chops, to gently challenge their assumptions, open their minds, and show them the real potential.
So you need to control the narrative. in a sense. Address their concerns, but guide them towards your vision.
Exactly. It's about understanding their objections, but being persuasive enough to show them a different, better way forward with AI.
That definitely requires confidence in your solution and strong communication.
Absolutely. He also shared a story about a past business appointment setting in VAs again that was doing great revenue, but with a surprisingly small team.
Right, highlighting efficiency.
Yeah, it underscored the power of productizing your service. Having that well-defined offer, that repeatable process, means you don't necessarily need a huge organization to deliver significant value and generate good revenue.
So you don't need a massive team right out of the gate.
Not at all. He emphasized you could start really lean, maybe just the founder and one key person, like a systems integrator, to get things running smoothly. Then add roles gradually as you scale and the revenue supports it.
That's encouraging for people just starting out. You don't need a huge staff immediately.
Focus on the system first.
Okay, practical advice time. For listeners struggling to get that very first client, what was the core advice?
Focus on the fundamentals. Nail down what specific problem are you solving? For whom? Bridge that specific gap.
Get crystal clear on the offer.
Exactly. Then maybe create a simple video explaining it, use outreach, maybe even some targeted ads, just to see who bites, who's interested.
Get it out there and see what happens.
Yeah. The main thing is being able to clearly explain the value and then actually getting on sales calls. If sales is the weak point, he said, go learn sales. But don't try to be everything to everyone initially.
Back to focus again. Don't try to sell a giant, vague platform to 10 different industries right away.
Exactly. Start specific.
What about for those selling, say, operational improvements or systems using AI? Those can be harder sells, right?
They can be because, as Gatari put it, clients often don't know what they don't know. They might not even realize they have the problem your system solves.
That's what's the strategy there.
Pick one core system you're offering. Get really good at explaining it simply and clearly, and then build content around it, content that educates the market, shows the before and after, demonstrates the value.
So content becomes key for educating and building trust for those kinds of offers.
Definitely. You have to show them the pain they might not even realize they're in, and then show them the solution.
Now, what if you already have a service like content creation or SEO, and you want to add AI infrastructure services? How do you do that without confusing people or muddying the waters?
Good question. Gatari suggested maybe spacing out the offers. Sell the initial AI build-out as phase 1.
Okay.
Then later offer optimization or other AI services as phase 2, phase 3, logical next steps.
Keeps it clean.
Yeah, and offering those additional solutions actually helps with retention, gives clients more reasons to stick with you.
Or maybe offer small taste initially.
That's another option you mentioned, like give clients a smaller scale experience of different AI possibilities first, maybe within an incubator type program, let them see the potential, then they can decide where to go deeper.
Flexible options. Okay, another key driver he mentioned, focusing on high-intent leads and really nailing the conversion.
Absolutely critical for fast growth. He gave an example of a business scaling rapidly just by running good ads and having a decent close rate on those warm leads.
It sounds simple, but converting interested people efficiently is huge.
It is. He contrasted that with the struggle of working with clients who just don't have leverage in their own business, or where the core model is broken.
Right, the million times zero is zero idea.
Exactly. You have to be smart about choosing clients and markets that actually have potential for growth. You can't fix a fundamentally flawed business with just AI.
That's a sobering but important point. Choose your clients wisely.
Very wisely.
What about people starting with maybe less capital but more time? How can they leverage AI?
Gatari had a great point here. Invest that time in really learning specific, maybe complex AI implementation skills that bigger, busier companies just don't have the bandwidth to figure out themselves.
Become a go-to expert on a specific niche application.
Exactly. Build a business around those hard-earned insights. You're basically charging for the time and expertise you invested in learning something valuable that others haven't.
That empowers people who feel maybe they don't have the resources. Your time and learning are the resource.
Absolutely. Trust yourself, apply what you learn, don't get stuck thinking you need huge investment to start.
Let's tackle a common frustration, the stuck-in-the-middle problem. Your AI tool is great for individual users, but you can't get buy-in from leadership for wider adoption.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Gatari acknowledged selling to enterprise is just different. Longer sales cycles, more stakeholders.
So it's not just about persistence.
Not necessarily. The issue might actually be the offer itself when you're talking to leadership. What works for an individual contributor might not resonate with a VP focused on strategic goals.
So you need a different value proposition for the executive level.
Likely, yes. You need to frame it in terms of their KPIs, their strategic objectives, the bigger picture impact on the organization.
Makes sense. Another strategic choice. Niching down. Should you niche by the AI technology like voice AI or by the market like dentists?
Gatari leaned pretty heavily towards niching by market. While tech niching is possible.
People buy solutions to their problems.
Right. Exactly. Businesses ultimately buy from people who understand their specific world, their context, their pain points. A generic voice AI solution might be less appealing than one specifically designed for, say, real estate agents.
He had an example of this not working, right?
Yeah, a failed outreach attempt to solar companies using a generic AI tool. The messaging wasn't targeted enough. It didn't resonate with their specific needs. Understanding the market deeply is usually key.
Which ties into another powerful idea, solving your own problems first.
Yes. He highlighted how often the most successful solutions, the ones with amazing product market fit, come from founders scratching their own itch.
Like the fitness studio owner example.
Exactly. They built software to solve the exact problems they were facing running their own studio. They understood the pain points intimately.
So the advice for you, the listener, is look at your own work, your own industry. What are the bottlenecks? What frustrates you? Could AI solve that?
That's often where the best ideas come from.
Okay, pricing. If you're new, no case studies yet. How do you structure deals?
Gatari suggested a structure like an upfront deposit enough to cover your costs, basically, and then performance-based milestones.
So lower risk for the client, but you get paid as you deliver results.
Right. It builds trust. He also stressed offering significant value upfront in those early deals. Really over-deliver to prove your capabilities.
The goal is getting those first crucial case studies.
That's the main objective initially. Prove the concept, get the testimonials.
What about using AI in the sales process itself?
Interesting idea he touched on. Using AI to create interactive tools, maybe assessments or calculators.
How would that work?
They provide real value to the prospect. Maybe diagnose a problem, estimate potential savings. But at the same time, they gather data and help qualify the lead for you.
So offer intelligence for free as a lead magnet.
Exactly. High value up front, good qualification data for you. Win-win.
Another balancing act.
Yeah.
How much do you explain how the AI mechanics versus the results?
Good question. His advice was nuanced. Maybe start with the VSSL that does show some of the mechanisms, especially if your market is sophisticated and cares about that.
Show them under the hood a bit.
Yeah. But then definitely test an alternative, maybe a more outcome-focused VSSL, one that just hammers the benefits. Better leads, faster closing, higher customer value, whatever it is.
And see which one performs better.
Exactly. Test and see what resonates with your audience. There's no single right answer.
Let's talk long-term. Building enterprise value versus just making quick money.
Yeah. Crucial distinction. Making money today is one thing. Building a sustainable, valuable company is another.
How do you build that value?
It often involves developing that layer of products and services we talked about earlier. Keep creating ways to serve your existing clients, solve their next problems. That builds recurring revenue, customer loyalty, and ultimately enterprise value.
Like the clientacquisition.io example, offering more than just the initial service.
Precisely. Build an ecosystem.
And for listeners with offers already out there, what should they be scrutinizing?
Really look at that front-end offer. Is the price right? Is it enough to sustain you and keep you focused?
Is the value proposition clear and strong?
Absolutely. Does it solve a real significant pain point? Does it offer a clear path to a result they desperately want? You have to constantly refine that core offer.
So if you're unsure about your niche or offer, what's the absolute first step?
Forget the fancy AI stuff for a moment. Focus on getting traffic, getting strangers to pay attention. That's fundamental.
Master the basics first.
Yes. Can you get leads? Can you convert them? Figure that out. Maybe start by mapping out your process, crafting that compelling sales story. Nail those basics before you layer on complex AI solutions.
Like trust your gut.
Trust your own insights about what's valuable, what problems need solving, but then, and this is key, validate it with cold traffic.
Not just friends and family.
Right. Real validation comes when strangers who owe you nothing are willing to pay for your solution because they see the value helping them get what they want faster, easier.
What about educating clients about AI? How much is needed?
Some education might be useful, context setting. But the main focus should always be selling the solution and the benefits, not giving a deep lecture on neural networks.
Solve their problem. Don't just teach them AI theory.
Exactly. Maybe offer resources, videos, guides for those who want to learn more, but only after they've bought into the core value proposition.
Choosing how to generate leads. Ads, webinars, one-on-one closing. Any advice there?
If you're new to, say, paid ads, stick with what you know best first. If you're great at one-on-one closing, focus there initially.
Play to your strengths.
Yeah, he specifically cautioned against jumping into webinars if you haven't successfully sold that specific offer many times before in other formats. Webinars require real skill and confidence, especially asking for significant investment.
It takes courage to pitch big on a webinar.
It really does. Master the offer first.
Okay, stepping back again. Gatari talked about the difference between just like milking the demand for AI versus building something sustainable.
Yeah, a really important point. Anyone can slap AI on a generic tool right now and maybe make some quick sales.
But that's likely commoditized soon.
Exactly. True success, lasting success, comes from strategically building solutions that are hard to replicate, that solve deep business problems in innovative ways, creating real, defensible value.
Thinking long-term, building a moat.
That's the game. Focus on building a valuable, defensible business, not just chasing the current hype.
So for anyone feeling overwhelmed by AI complexity, the advice is still fundamentals first.
Absolutely. Master traffic generation. Master crafting a compelling offer. Those are the timeless pillars. You can use resources like AI ad playbooks to help with traffic, but don't neglect the core offer.
What about building an AI brain for clients? That
Yeah.
sounded interesting.
Yeah, this is a more sophisticated approach. Instead of just selling isolated AI tools or agents, you build a centralized system for the client.
Like integrated.
Right. Maybe using something like Go High Level as a base, then connecting various external AI tools to handle different things, lead engagement, content generation, scheduling, support.
So it becomes their central AI operating system.
Kind of, yeah. It's a much stickier, more valuable solution than just selling disparate pieces. More complex to build, but potentially much higher value and retention.
What if you have a strong existing network? How do you leverage that?
Partnerships can be huge. But Gatari stressed having clear revenue-sharing agreements from the start. Don't rely on handshakes.
Get it in writing.
Always. And sometimes focusing on getting referral partners who bring you clients can actually be more scalable initially than trying to manage dozens of direct clients yourself.
Leverage other people's networks. Smart.
It can be very effective.
A lot of this comes down to mindset, doesn't it?
Hugely. You need that growth mindset. Be open to learning constantly, adapting quickly, and most importantly, taking action.
Don't just learn, do.
Right. And shift your focus from just the how of the tech to who are you serving, what do they really need.
Yeah.
Embrace that iterative build, test, refine cycle.
And speed matters.
Execution speed is critical. Gatari talked about how they were able to build and launch things quickly because they had a dedicated team and were willing to allocate resources fast when they saw an opportunity.
Don't sit on good ideas.
Exactly. Prioritize and move. Entrepreneurial success often favors the swift.
You also predicted a boom in software businesses, right? Because of AI.
Yeah, because the barrier to entry for building software, including AI-powered tools, is just getting lower and lower. More people can build things now.
But does that mean everyone will succeed?
No, absolutely not. Having that great insight, that deep understanding of the problem you're solving, that's still the crucial ingredient. Easier to build doesn't mean easier to build something successful.
So focus on impact, not just perfection.
Yes. He made the point that the businesses making the biggest impact aren't always the ones with the technically best product. They're the ones that reach the most people, that have high sales velocity, efficient client acquisition.
Getting it out there and making a difference is key.
It really is. Reach matters.
And competition, it's
Yes.
only going to increase, right?
Inevitable, especially in AI.
So how do you stay ahead?
You have to accept it and focus on differentiation, maybe through better marketing, sharper ads, a stronger delivery model. Continuously adapt. The AI system itself is just one part. Your acquisition engine is just as critical, if not more so.
And finally, overcoming that fear. Especially the fear of investing in leverage, like ads.
He shared a personal story about that, actually. Delaying investing in ads early on and regretting the missed opportunity, the slower growth.
So the advice is, don't be afraid to invest in things that can accelerate growth.
Strongly encourage it. Overcome that fear. If you have a strategy that looks promising, act on it. The urgency is real in a fast-moving space like AI. Don't wait for perfect conditions.
Wow, okay. That really does cover a huge amount of ground.
It does. And that brings us pretty much to the end of this deep dive into those insights from Serge Gatari. We've touched on, well, everything from why the delivery model is so critical.
Right, and how to avoid getting commoditized by selling real solutions, not just tools.
Exactly. That balance between direct response and nurturing rethinking guarantees.
Understanding those business stages, the power of focus, and niching down.
And always, always delivering significant value, collapsing time for your clients.
It's really clear that AI presents these massive opportunities, but success isn't automatic. Like Gatari's advice highlights, it really comes down to solid business fundamentals applied to this new landscape.
Absolutely. You need the strategy, the execution, the understanding of the market, all adapted for AI.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay.
Thinking about your own area of interest or expertise, what specific workflow could be totally revolutionized by AI? Not just tweaked with one tool, but completely rethought in a way that creates a truly valuable, defensible business.
That's a great question. How can you use AI to reimagine an entire process, not just automate a small part of it? Explore that and hopefully take some action based on what we've talked about.
Definitely. And remember, this deep dive was tailored specifically from that 7-hour conversation you shared with us. If you, the listener, have other sources, articles, talks, interviews that you're curious about, send them our way. We'd love to dive into them in future episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of The Deep Dive.